I'm Corbitt with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, October the 14th, brought to you in part by Livestock Risk Services. They're your LRP specialists, guys. Of course, headed up by Dakota Moss there in Oklahoma City. He's got lots of good agents here, all of them well versed in the industry that can help you out. Got Steve Anderson up there in Mountain View, Arkansas. He works with Ozarks Regional Stockyard, heads up their video sales there, does a good job, knows all there is to know about the industry, and he can help you there. They got Steve Boyce over in Texarkana, Tim Forth over in Coffeyville, South Coffeyville, Oklahoma, and Byron Bird there in Okeechobee, Florida, with Oak Lake. I tell you what, they know what's going on down there. But I got a good team on hand. Let them help you out with your LRPs. If you got questions about it, give them a call. For more information, go to livestockriskservices.com. Also, Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma. Another big sale for them. They had 860 cows on Monday and looking for 5,700 feeder cattle and calves here today on Tuesday. Big sale, guys. They're going to have 2,500 calves. Most of them be 4 to 6 weights. Most of them fresh off the cow. They got 200 5 to 6 weight calves there, and they're from Wellington, Texas. They've had a round of shots. 350 head of 5 to 6 weights with 1 round of shots from Wheeler, Texas. 120 4 to 6 weights from Laverne. They've had 2 rounds on them, and 140 head of 4 to 5 weight calves with 1 round on them from Boise City, Oklahoma. Got a good run of yearling heifers there, 1,250 of them. They'll weigh 7 to 8 for the most part. They've got 250 7 to 8 weight yearling heifers off grass from Clayton, New Mexico. 48 head of Herefords. They'll weigh in the 8s and could possibly be replacements if that's what you're looking for from Perryton, Texas. And then they've got a load of red replacement heifers and a load of black replacement heifers weighing in the 7s coming from Spearman, Texas there. 165 7-weight heifers coming off grass, and they'll be coming from their local guys. How about 2,000 feeder steers, all yearlings 7 to 900 pounds. 350 head of 8 and 9 weight Ratcliffe cattle from Forgan right there, and we know the quality on them. It's outstanding. They'll probably top the market. They've got 130 head of 8 and 9 weight yearling steers from Buffalo, and another 250 8 to 9 weights from Clayton, New Mexico. Be a really good offering there coming from Beaver County Stockyards. Check them out at DVAuction.com. Ranch calves spur the market, and we're just now getting into them. We've been in the fall run, the calf run here, but we're just starting to see our premier consignments of ranch calves, especially up in the northern plains. And man, they're fancy, and when they hit the ring, I tell you what, it brings attention and broke records in lots of markets up there. I've said this many times over the last couple of years, but I'm going to say it one more time. This may have been the most bullish calf market day ever. They were just sharply higher, guys, and guys just want them, and hardly any of them are weaned. They're fresh off the cow, but if they've had a round of shots, or especially 2, and they've got the quality to go with, they bring the market, guys, and it's really good calf market everywhere. Guys aren't getting enough weaned calves to put loads together, so it's not much difference between the weaned calves and the fancier unweaned calves there. I tell you what, our fed cattle market's good. These feedlots are already thinking close to 250 in the next couple of weeks. And I said just a few days ago on the feeder flash, they were thinking it might get back to 250 by Christmas. They're not going to wait on that. They're thinking 250 here in the next few weeks, and they've kind of got those big cattle up north more manageable, and then what's behind them is lighter, much lighter, and they're still especially light in the southern plains. And they just don't have much cattle on feed down there. The Mexicans, the last Mexicans cattle that they put on feed there, they're going to be done here in the next 3 months or so. and then it is extremely, extremely tight after that. So, I mean, everything is looking up. If we can't just invent more cattle, this market's just going to keep going up, guys. That's basically all it can do. But we got to get this fat market up here before we can get these feeders all that much higher. Our beef demand is excellent. I saw an article there on Monday that was saying it's as good as it ever has been, as good as it was back in the 80s when everybody was eating meat, guys. But people want the product. We're not, because of tariffs and things, we're not getting much product from anywhere else. So they're going to keep paying up for it, and we haven't seen them back off of it at the retail level as of yet. And we assume that at some point that will happen. But so far we're still seeing excellent demand for beef. I tell you what, it is Livestock Week in Faith, South Dakota. It's got started off on Monday. They had over 8,000 head for the big calf and yearling special there at the Faith Livestock Auction there. It was an outstanding sale for Livestock Week here. I'll give you some of the big quotes on steer calves that they had in Faith Livestock Auction on Monday. They had 1,225 four-weight steer calves in Faith Livestock Auction. They averaged 460 pounds with a weighted average price on all of them of $566.46. Wow. 2,775 head of five-weight steer calves in Faith. They averaged 549 pounds with a weighted average price on nearly 2,800 of them of $496. How about 1,303 head of the six-weight steers in Faith, averaged 629 with a weighted average price of $455 a weight. They've got a big weigh-up special here today on Tuesday. Got a ton of weigh-ups right there to you, cows and bulls. And I'm sure they'll have some of those light turnout cows and things like that. You can check all their sales out at DVAuction.com. And don't forget, on Wednesday, they've got another calf special coming up, and they're featuring Charolais influence cattle. I heard Dace talk about, he said they're nearly all black-nosed Charolais and buckskins. I mean, really, really nice calves, especially if you want to put some weight on them, guys. Talking about our board to start the week out on Monday, October live cattle futures were up 210 at 240.57. December was up 222 at 244.75. And your back months on live cattle up 45 cents to up $1.80. It's been the feeder cattle that's been pulling the live cattle up here all of last week, but on Monday your live cattle led the way. October feeder cattle were unchanged. I mean, they've gotten so high up there, they're way above our index levels. Of course, they're catching up to them, but your traders were just uncomfortable taking those October feeders any higher, knowing that they're just going to have to reach or meet up with that index level here in the next couple of weeks, guys. But unchanged on October feeders at $375.50. November was up 82 cents at $376.72. Your back months on feeder cattle all up from $1.77 higher nearby to as much as $3.17 higher on the farthest out traded month. Talk about your grains. New crop December corn down 2 1/4 cents a bushel at 4.10 3/4. November beans up a penny at 10.07 3/4. And your hard red winter wheat for December down 1 3/4 cents at 4.81 1/4. Your weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle trade out of your 4 or 5 area feeding region there totaled only 41,900 head. That's exactly the same, or almost to the penny or to the head, of how many they traded negotiated out of the 5 area last week, 41,900. Same week a year ago, they traded 76,900 negotiated out of your 4 or 5 area feeding region there. Fat steers and heifers negotiated sold from 228 to 235. There were a lot of them from 232 to 235, not so much less than that, but that was $1 to $2 higher. Your weighted average on live steers negotiated was 234.07. That was up 331 compared to the previous week's weighted average. Dress sales range from 358 to 368. A lot of them at 362, but that was $5 to $8 higher. Your weighted average on dress steers negotiated out of the 5 area, 362.52. That was up 288. As a whole, your negotiated trade out of the 5 area, the Southern Plains was $2 higher in Kansas at 235. Texas hardly traded enough cattle to establish a market. The only thing confirmed was 230 to 234. I told you yesterday about that 236 bid the grid on the Fed Cattle Exchange in Texas, but the market's sure higher. Northern Plains, despite having heavier supplies of market-ready cattle, they were $1 to $5 higher at mostly 235 live in the Northern Plains. Dress sales were $2 higher at largely 362. Nationwide negotiated, they sold 54,150 compared to 53,450 the previous week and 92,600 the same week a year ago. Of that 54,150, about 29% of those cattle were for the 2 to 4 week delivery. There were 27,100 that sold negotiated grid last week nationwide. Forward contracts added up to 51,400 head, and formula sales lighter than typical, 214,300 head last week nationwide. Of the 4 big areas that we get information from negotiated, Iowa sold 22,350, good movement for them. Nebraska sold 17,500, that's a little bit light there. Kansas only 1,600 head, and Texas less than 500 head negotiated cash. Box beef cutout values were mixed on Monday. Choice boxes were down $1.60 at $363.91. Selects were up $336 at $349.75. Your slaughter for the first day of the week on Monday, estimated cattle slaughter was 106,000. That's 5,000 better than a week ago Monday, but compared to the same Monday a year ago, it was 14,000 less. Let's talk about what else is going on. Punchy Pick of the Month contest will be coming up here at the end of the month, and we have fun with all those punchy picks, and we got great sponsors for the Punchy Pick of the Month contest. Of course, on the Kids Corral, Great Plains Livestock Consulting. They're good guys. Get a hold of them to help you make the difficult decisions you have with your cattle operation there. They do a great job. They donate a $200 gift certificate from Cavender's Boot City. And then on the Punchy Pick of the Month contest, of course, always sponsored by Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma, and Fairpiece, that revolutionary product that is scientifically proven. And I tell you what, if you're not using Fairpiece, you're missing out, especially if you're trying to wean some calves, guys. I'm going to attach a video with more information about Fairpiece at the end of this Feeder Flash episode. But to get into the Punchy Pick of the Month contest, if you take a punchy pick out there doing chores or whatever's going on your phone, just email that picture and maybe a short description about what's going on and where you're at to punchy@nationalbeefwire.com. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market, brought to you by Specialty Risk Insurance. They are working to protect your livelihood. Your real-time index based on an 800-pound cash auction steer at the conclusion of your Monday sales was at 371.63, and that was $5.88 higher than last week at the end of the week, guys. That is a big, big gain. And your steer tracker, the last 25 lots of 5 head or more of index cattle going in your RTI, was 386.36. So, I mean, it's going to keep going higher, guys. Your latest CME cash feeder cattle index was at 369 smooth. Talk about your big sales, and there was a lot of big sales on Monday, but we like to start out with the city. Oklahoma City, at Oklahoma National Stockyards there had 5,500, and was it a smoker? I tell you what, guys. Feeder steers, $10 to $20 higher. Feeder heifers, $5 to $15 higher. And you can count on those quotes. They got good market reporting there in the city like they always have. Calves sold $20 to $30 higher, with spots as much as $40 higher on calves. I mean, how could it be any better than that on a trend, weekly trend out of Oklahoma National Stockyards? Your most impressive quote I saw out of there was National Livestock sold 68 steers, weighed 737, bring $399.50. And that's a smoker, I don't care where you're at. How about Joplin Regional Stockyards in Carthage, Missouri? They were expecting 7,500. They ended up with 8,400. It was a smoker also, guys. Your steers, according to Federal State Market Report, was $5 to $20 higher on steers. Heifers, $10 to $30 higher. A lot like the city there, guys. Joplin was your Superior Steel Sales, home of Superior Standard Livestock Equipment stick out sale of the day, and Superior Steels is right next door, so Joplin is well acquainted with them, guys. But check out this automated market report through Cattle Market Central. You see your best tested weights. I'm going to go through them here. 434 head of 4-weight steers in Joplin, average 459 at 449.86. 534 head of your 5-weight steers, average 538 at 426.40. 814 head of 6-weight steers, average 644 at 404.01 on the weighted average. There were 971 head of 7-weight steers, be a mixture of calves and yearlings there, guys. Average 762 pounds, the weighted average price of $388.12. 1,891 8-weight feeder steers at JRS. They average 848, the weighted average price of $366.20, and another 380 head of 9-weight steers, average 933 at $346.54. Let's look at their heifers at Joplin. 478 head of 4-weight heifers, average 446 at $419.73. 516 head of the 5-weight heifers, average 549 at $379.43. 512 head of 6-weight heifers, average 635 at $374.52. 472 head of the 7-weight heifers, average 735 at $357.55. And 318 head of 8-weight feeder heifers at Joplin, averaged 831 pounds with a weighted average price of $335.05. The most impressive individual quote that I saw come out of Joplin was a smoker. I tell you what, 183 steers weighed 821 and bring $393.50. Big time quote anywhere, guys. Give you some individual quotes from all around the circuit that were very impressive. How about the little market with the big prices? Sylvan Sales Commission in Sylvan Grove, Kansas there. Toby said these cattle were black and green and thin and were the kind. 144 steers weighed 620 pounds, bring $450 and a half. How about Torrington Livestock Markets in Torrington, Wyoming? Sold 53 steer calves, weighed 494 at $565. Wow. How about Valentine Livestock Market there in Valentine, Nebraska? Sold 129 steers, weighed 832 at $4 a pound. I tell you what, Valentine and Crawford have been the only sales we've seen this fall so far that could sell big slugs of steers weighing in the 8s over $4 a pound. But it's creeping up and everybody's getting there, guys. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Monday in your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, in fact, come out of Faith Livestock Auction in Faith, South Dakota. During Livestock Week, they sold 97 steer calves, weighed 549, 5.5 there, guys, at $526. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.